Hello, everybody. Hi, my name is Rajiv, and my pronouns are he, him.
Hi, I'm Carly, and my pronouns are she, her. And welcome to the Queer Sober Social Podcast. We're a chill social group of LGBTQIA plus folks who want to do more with their lives than just drinking.
Whether you identify as in recovery, sober curious, or just wanted to be sober while you're listening in, we're happy that you're here. And with that, let's get started. Alrighty. Well, happy holidays. Happy New Year to some people who might be listening to this after the fact. Happy near the end of 2020. Welcome, everybody.
Yes, 2020 was a wild, wild year. I keep saying that maybe it wasn't the year that we wanted, but somehow it was the year that we all needed. I don't know, but that keeps me sane. So we're going to tell that to you all too. And we know that it's super easy to go down the doom and gloom route, but we'd like to start this episode off with some things that Rajiv and I are both super grateful for, and we invite you all to do the same with us. The biggest thing for me that I'm most grateful for that 2020 has brought me has been Queer Sober Social, that we came to life in this crazy pandemic. We have found this amazing community of unique queer individuals who are also exploring the benefits of sobriety and have come together in this amazing community. So that's you, the listener, listening to this right now. I'm very grateful for you. I'm grateful for everyone that's in Queer Sober Social. And that's how I'm gonna kick it off. What are you grateful for, Rajiv?
I'm just grateful we made it to the end of 2020. I mean, like almost the end of 2020. We still got a few more days to go at the time of this recording, but we're almost there. And even though it may feel like we never really left winter, especially here in Chicago because it's starting to get cold again, um, and March is when we went into lockdown when it was cold. So it's fine feeling like we're nearing the end in many ways.
Yes. Another thing that I'm grateful for is that we had the pandemic while living in the golden age of content, meaning that there is so much good stuff out there to watch, whether it's on a streaming service or it's TikTok, people making amazing, hilarious memes and videos. And there's just so much to take in. And I'm super grateful because, like we talked about before, if there's any better time to have to stay inside, it's right now when we have everything at our fingertips.
Absolutely. Like everything at your fingertips is not an understatement. Like quite literally, you can find whatever you want, as obscure or old or new as possible. Like you'll find it, which is amazing. Um, in addition to content itself, like you were mentioning earlier, I do also want to make sure that I'm saying that I'm also very grateful for the Queer Sober Social Group, and especially for you, Carly, because it was really nice to be able to meet you this year because we didn't actually know each other before 2020. So it's also been a nice way to uh, spend a year together, basically.
I couldn't agree more. And usually, when I'm asked what I'm grateful for, the first thing that I will always say is my sobriety because I wouldn't have the other stuff without it. How could I be part of a sober group proudly if I wasn't even sober to begin with? So, very, very grateful to be sober this holiday season and to have met you because of it too, Rajiv. So, feeling the love in the beginning of this podcast episode.
Of course. And of course, since we are a sober group, how can you not say that you're not thankful for the sober drinks that you partake of? Things like water or, you know, more accurately, LaCroix, as of late. The super bubbly stuff that all of us tend to partake in, whatever the flavor. Limoncello, I think, was a standout for 2020. Uh, but
Yes.
definitely any of the other flavors that you might enjoy. And whether you enjoy LaCroix or not, like whatever. But I'm still grateful for it.
That's awesome. I love that so much.
Well, I mean, Carly, so I think everybody can definitely share the love and share some of this gratefulness. What are we actually talking about today?
Yes. So, Merry Queersmas. We are talking about the holidays and how they are a lot of fun for people, but at the same time, they can be a little bit difficult, especially when you're sober and queer like us. And that's what we're going to talk about this episode, how we balance the fun with, you know, the hard hard stuff that's going on, especially this year in 2020. So let's dive right into it.
Of course. Well,
Why are the holidays so hard, Rajiv?
I can definitely say it's winter. So if you had listened to last time's episode, if you haven't, go listen to that. After you listen to this, I guess, you'll hear a lot of the reasons why winter specifically is really hard. But there's a lot of things that also apply specific to like the holidays in general, because the holidays in any year are really just tough for like queer people in general, for sober people in general, and then you add on 2020 on top of that, and it's kind of the same story, but just for completely different reasons. I think that's something that I mean, like there's lots of different reasons, and I'm sure you have some of them, Carly.
Oh, yes. The first thing that we wanted to talk about was setting boundaries, whether that's with family, with friends. But I know, especially this year, there's new boundaries that have come up of like COVID boundaries of do we wear a mask? Do we stand 6 feet apart? Are we even going to go and see each other this year? These are big questions that came up. And whatever you decided, those are totally okay. It's just important that you identify what your boundaries are so that you can even know how to set them in the first place. And if you did go and see your family or you have seen them in the past for the holidays, you would know that it's very easy to revert back to old family roles, to fall into this place that it's really familiar to you, kind of playing out how you used to act when you were growing up, because that is just what's totally normal when you see your family. And what can make it difficult is when you've been doing this work on yourself, you've been becoming more comfortable in your identity, whether that's as a sober person or a queer person or both. And you go back to your family as this newly evolved person, and you realize that while you've been doing all this growing, they've kind of been staying the same. And so it's hard to walk back into this life, these family members that you've known and love, and not go into those old roles and stay this new growing person that you have been. So that is definitely where the boundaries come into play and help you preserve all the hard work that you've done. Another thing with your family, and this goes into your queer identity, could also touch on the sober identity too, is whether you have come out to your family or not as queer, as sober. And I know the holidays can seem like a time where you want to do that, where coming out seems like the cliche, like right thing to do. But again, you have to figure out what your boundaries are and if that's right for you. And you don't have to force your identity on anybody. Sometimes it's just like your best kept secret that you just hold on to. And nobody even has to really know unless you decide that it's time and that you're ready to have this conversation. But don't feel like the pressure of the holidays that you need to be someone that you're not or come out when you're not ready. So definitely just like taking stock of how you're doing. And if you just need to protect yourself this 2020 holiday season, then do that for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the ways that people sometimes come out is by bringing somebody home for the first time,
Mhm.
especially if you've gotten that far along in the relationship. And that can and cannot be like it could be both a good or bad thing, really dependent upon where you're at, where your family's at. So definitely pay attention to what actually makes sense. But that's just what adds to the difficulty. Because if you are actually seeing somebody, for example, and you bring home a same-sex partner, for example, like that can be a little bit, and you haven't had that conversation in the past. That's something that just might add to the difficulty, because you still want to share your family with you want to share your significant other with your family, and you want to make sure that they're plugged into everything that you're plugged into. But I don't know that it is definitely the makings of many a rom-com slash like queer movie or something like that.
It definitely is. Another thing that is difficult that we're also talking about too is the acceptance of your family, whether you are bringing home someone, just the acceptance from yourself, the acceptance of some people in your family and maybe not others, and having that like imbalance. So just making sure, like we said, that you're deciding that you have the power in this situation of revealing as much or as little of your identity or and who you are to your family. And it comes first from you accepting yourself before others can accept who you tell them who you are.
Definitely. I think something that is also useful in the sense of after you accept yourself or as you accept yourself and are looking for that acceptance is starting to draw some boundaries around where some questions might not be really appropriate anymore. Um, Families are, for better or for worse, really curious if you're not part of like this mainstream, like whatever it might be. And some questions can definitely
Mhm.
be a little too much, especially during the holiday season when you're trying to figure out all the other stuff we just talked through. And then all of a sudden you're starting being asked some questions that probably aren't appropriate, whether they're invasive or not appropriate or something that you feel like you've answered a million times before. Like, we get it. Like, this is just one of the other things that makes it difficult.
Definitely. More difficult things about being sober and queer during the holidays is people respecting who you are and respecting your sobriety, first of all, and not pressuring you to drink because that definitely happens a lot. People are planning for gatherings and planning for a party and they are wanting everybody to have fun. I mean, that's just only normal that that you might be offered a drink by your family and have pressure behind that offer to drink with everybody else and not wanting to feel like the odd one out, like you're offending anyone. So it can be difficult deciding to come home and act a different way than you've previously been at holiday parties with your family in the past. So that's just another adding on to the difficulties of holidays, especially when you're sober and queer. There's just so much that can happen.
Well, let's say that you are seeing all the stuff that we're talking about, and you're like, oh no, this is way too overwhelming. Valid. I hear you.
Mhm.
You can also make the decision not to go. And that is something that might take a little bit of convincing and a little bit of respect from your family to actually respect the choice not to come. That's something that I think is definitely a harder choice to make, especially if you are deciding not to go for these sorts of reasons. So, like respect and boundaries and those kinds of things. Also, it seems to be the case sometimes this year, especially with regards to not traveling because of COVID or for safety reasons. And so, whether the decision is made to go or not to go, I think that that's something that should be respected as well.
Agreed. And whether you decide to go or not go or do a Zoom gathering with your family instead, it's definitely important to show up as you are and not take offense to your family because they don't even know what they're doing is hurting you. So with that, just, paying attention to how you feel around the language that's being discussed, if there are perhaps offensive jokes that are happening or not respecting, the boundaries that you have previously set. Things like coming in and just like stating your pronouns and making sure that your family is using the correct pronouns you use. It's as simple as that. That's a hard boundary. And just not accepting any questions that are overstepping themselves, like we said, or if there's any jokes that are offensive, just shutting that down right away, which can be difficult to kind of put your foot down and tell your family like, "Hey, I'm no longer okay with this anymore." And there's a lot of that happens as you start to do growth, and it's hard to say those words sometimes, but it's good when you can have a community of others that understand like us, where you can practice saying those words if you need to. So,
We have somebody in the chat as well saying that, same with my family, they insist to display decorations with my dead name, which for trans people, like that's
ah,
the really important thing. Where once you have transitioned to your name, like the name that you were wanting to use, like there's no need to use the old name at all, especially if you're not familiar with that language. And then they also say it's definitely hard to do, especially when you have some family that you still like among the others you don't like, which also makes sense.
ah,
Sometimes it's even tougher to make those sorts of decisions that we're just talking about because it's not black and white. And you may have a mix of like, all right, great, well, my parents are okay, or my like siblings are okay, but my extended family's not, or whatever that may be. It just adds really all to the overall anxiety that comes up when you're kind of thinking through what does it even mean to go home for the holidays or be engaged in the holidays this year. I mean, even this year right now, like we're talking about anxiety with just familial relations, in addition to the fact that you're going to probably have some anxiety with the financial situation or like your living situation or whatever that might be just because of 2020. This year, some people probably can't afford gifts, and that's something that may just change the way that they do holidays this year. So we totally get it. Or like trying to figure out traveling the family or setting up some Christmas stuff. Like if electricity bills are like pushing you over the edge for what you can afford, Like that makes it really tough to be able to say, yeah, let's go hang up some lights this year. It's all to say we hear you, we understand it. Like that's why we wanted to make sure we're calling it out here because these are unique to holidays for sure.
Absolutely, especially what you were saying about 2020. It's like, okay, the holidays are their own, anxiety-filled, anxiety-provoking time of the year on their own. Okay, now throw in 2020 as the wrench, and we are found with completely different situation. I mean, so there's no normal festivities going on this year, whether that be parties with your chosen family that you do want to spend time with and just, doing your healthy coping mechanisms. We completely understand if you have pandemic fatigue, if you have Zoom fatigue, just overall fatigue, that's completely, completely normal. Like we are all right there with you. It's hard to feel like there's so much to be happy about to celebrate when we've been through such a difficult year. And so, like Rajiv said, just acknowledging that. And it's completely normal if you are missing what life used to be like, if you're reminiscing about what your plans last year were like and how they're a little bit different this year and missing people, whether they're no longer with us or you just can't see them this year, if you're missing substances, if you're missing alcohol, like these are all completely normal. If you're missing your ex, you are not alone. It is cuffing season, so you are not alone. You are not alone. And the holidays they just bring up a lot of emotions, and it's really, really important that you ramp up the self-care so that you fill up your cup so that you have plenty to, spill over. And if you're not spilling over, then it just is a warning sign to yourself to take the time, carve out the time to really focus on you and figure out what it is that you need this holiday season.
I mean, let's say that you even are able to handle all of that stuff. I don't know what kind of human being you are, but like you have zero anxiety about all of that. Uh, at least I have the anxiety about the fact that there are still 5 more days as of today left in 2020. And just knowing how 2020 has been, it's just been like battle after battle, day after day. Like, I'm just nervous something else is gonna happen in the next 5 days. So, in case you're like that, like, I see you. Like, I'm there with you.
Yeah, it's not over yet, and anything could happen like we've seen. It feels like every single day is like weeks long. The amount of things that happen in a day are just like so, so insane. Okay, well, going back to the holidays, the normal holidays, there's just an enormous pressure to drink for some reason, and I don't know why. I think that people just get super lax during December and they're just like, "Oh yeah, like the holidays are at the end of this month, so I'm just going to like phone it in for like the whole month basically and have, gatherings every weekend or see my friends and where we're going to have huge like holiday parties with desserts and eggnog with alcohol and chocolate liqueurs and rum cake and it's just like the alcohol is overloaded. Like why is it in our food? Like we cannot just get enough. We are just so saturated with this alcohol in December for some reason. And there's all these holiday themed bars now. I was driving down Clark Street by Wrigley Field, and like everybody is trying to compete with each other and try to outdo each other with the most Christmassy lights and Christmassy bar and all this stuff. So just the techniques that are used because typically December is like a slow month for the bar scene because of how cold it is here.
Mm,
But now they've like pivoted to seeing that anything holiday themed will get people out of the house and get them excited. So they just slap some lights on the bars and throw a bar crawl and just everybody goes nuts. So it is really a rebellious and radical act to be sober in December, to stay sober, to continue this lifestyle of being good to yourself and not falling into a very easy trap because they make it so enticing and so many individuals, buy into it.
for sure. I mean, like, in addition to just Christmas itself, or like these November, December-ish holidays, like New Year's Eve, like that's a huge thing where there's a huge amount of pressure to drink. If nothing else, like even just that one glass of champagne or something like that at midnight or whatever, like that's super duper common. And a lot of times, like people will not just take that one drink of champagne or something like that. It'll be like pre-gaming that one drink the entire evening or something like that. Which also that's a huge amount of pressure. Um, yeah, I don't really love the whole like countdowns and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it just adds to the pressure, like, "Okay, like, how do we make this night, this last night of the year, like, so fun?" And it's like, I don't know. I don't have the answers. But even as, like, a sober person and trying to find plans, like, everyone is going out to these parties, and usually it's like a ticket for drinks and a table or whatever. So even if you're not drinking, you may have to end up paying for like a drink ticket if you just want to go out and have a good time with your friends, just to even get into a bar, if that's like what you want to do, is be around people. It's really not catered to sober people at all. We're kind of an afterthought for the holidays, which we would like to change, and that's why we're having conversations like this. But I think a lot of the lackadaisicalness that goes on with December is because people know that January is right around the corner, and they're like, "Oh, I'll just have a magical reset button that I push when it's magically the next year, and I'll do better this year. I'll make my resolutions, and on that will be to drink less or to stop drinking altogether." And so if I'm going to be doing that in the near future, I might as well just, go on a bender, go crazy, go all out, and have my like one last wild time. But we know that no, that's not how it works. And that's why New Year's resolutions are not for everyone, because they're just kind of a far-fetched dream sometimes. But if that we shouldn't have like this notion of having a last hurrah and having it all come down to like the 5 seconds before New Year's, that we need to like all of a sudden just like a magic wand waves and we change into a completely different person. Like that's not how life works. Shocker, surprise. It takes a lot more dedication and thoughtfulness that goes behind it. So I think a lot of that just goes out the window with it being New Year's and trying to become a better person overnight.
Totally. I mean, like, I feel like at midnight I would just turn into a pumpkin regardless of like drinking or not drinking. 'Cause that's late, y'all. Like, I mean, I'm definitely a night owl, but after midnight I just try to crawl into my own home and be alone, that kind of thing. Well, I mean, Carly, we've definitely talked through a lot of stuff that is tough, and we know what the problems are, and we know what some of the issues are specifically around holidays. What can we actually do like set something that's reasonable because we cannot
Yes.
tackle 2020. I bow down to 2020. It is better than I am, more fearsome than I am. What can we do this year?
Yes, 2020 is the year that has brought us all to our knees, and what you can do, let's be positive. Let's give some realistic action items here that we've already discussed. First is setting clear boundaries and deciding if you are going to spend time with your family, who you're going to be spending time with specifically, how long you're going to be spending time with them, and what your exit strategy is, what you're going to bring for yourself to drink, whether that be something non-alcoholic that you can put in the fridge, whether it's sparkling grape juice, if it's New
LaCroix.
Year's, just thinking about LaCroix. Yes, we love LaCroix here. Or deciding that you're not going to go at all. That's a boundary in itself. So deciding, sitting down, thinking out, okay, how am I going to feel when I'm there? How do I know when it's time to leave? How do I know how I want to feel when I'm there? And what do I need to say and do to make sure that I feel these ways and that I'm protected and that I don't get activated by questions that my family has, by comments that they make? What am I going to say? What are the words that I'm going to say so I can shut those things down so that I can protect myself? So just thinking it through, playing the whole tape forward, seeing it from beginning to end so that when you're living it, you know exactly what you wanted to happen. And if you start to deviate from that, you know how to get yourself back on track.
I think something really similar is talking about that same sort of playback with regards to your own boundaries and understanding just like where you want to draw those lines, especially with regards to like if it's language or if it's to what Carly already said of when you want to go back or how long you want to really spend. But I think there's also the piece around just you knowing when and where you want to speak up and self-advocate for yourself. So, for example, if you're working on something specific and you know that it's like going to be really tough to maintain whatever that may be. I don't know. Let's say that you are working on maintaining boundaries, and you know that like boundary setting with whoever family member is like really tough because they don't respect them. Like if you can make sure that you are setting yourself up to be ready to self advocate for yourself and kind of just make sure that you are saying that no, this is the line that I am drawing. This is the place that I need space for, making sure that you are keeping up the boundaries that you need to be able to be whole. That's probably another place that you could actually start tackling some of these issues.
Absolutely. And not worrying about what other people think when you set boundaries. Something that helps me a lot is understanding that the only people that get upset when you set boundaries are the people that have benefited from you having no boundaries. So they are bound to get upset because they're not used to you setting boundaries. And when you set boundaries, you don't let yourself down. And that's the most important person that you look out for this holiday season and every season. So even if you go see your family and you flounder, you mess up, maybe you let something slide, you didn't set a boundary where you thought you could, just like what Rajiv was saying, playing the tape even backwards and thinking, oh, okay, this next time that this happens, I know what I'm going to say. Because that's the best thing, the second best thing you could do for yourself is figuring out when your boundaries are violated and then figuring out the next steps of how you're going to improve upon setting them better for the next time and just being really gentle with yourself. It's so, so important that you recharge, that you take this time off. If you have time off from work, if you're not working, that you are using it to do things for you and doing things that feel good and that feel festive and that bring you joy. No matter how silly or small it is, it's so, so important that you are taking this time to do feel good things like drinking hot chocolate or listening to Christmas music that really like pumps you up and gets you in the festive spirit, watching feel good movies. There is no shame in whatever self care game that you have going on right now because we have been in it for the long haul. And whatever is getting you through, you need to hold on to it and keep using it.
For sure. I mean, like plus a million to all of that. I think something that's also important is let's say that you have got it all under control. Like you are able to manage all of this, you are in a good place. Like, great. I'm super happy for you. There are people that aren't in a really great place, and maybe there's something that you could do with your extra little bit of time or money or space or energy or whatever that may be, and then maybe giving that back. So whether that look like actually spending some time and volunteering at, I don't know, soup kitchens or at homeless shelters or with organizations that might be doing more COVID specific type of things, that could be a good way to maybe spend some of your time this year.
Yeah, and if you're not physically able to, or there's COVID restrictions with being in person right now, there's other ways to donate, whether it's your time, it could be your money to supporting places that you really care about that are doing the work that is really important to you. Or even there's toy drives that are going on, food drives, all that good stuff. And I feel like even now, with everything being online, it's kind of opened up the opportunities that are available that you can know about since everything's virtual. There's just so much more out there and there's ways to get connected like never before. So, like Rajiv said, if you're in a good place, definitely share the love this holiday season and there's some people out there that could definitely really appreciate and use that love and support that you got overflowing.
Definitely. Well, in the season of giving, I think it would be fun to maybe just share some of the stories that we've had or that others that have sent in some stuff have had with regards to the holidays, whether that be this year or in years past. Um, so we did actually request people to send in some voice messages, and we got one that we would like to share. So let's see if this actually works because it's the first time we're trying this. But you will definitely be able to hear one of our fabulous listeners and what they have to say regarding the holidays. And let's hope this works. Alrighty. Okay. And here we go. Crossing fingers.
Hey, Rajiv and Carly, it's Hannah. This Christmas, I had a great time, and my highlight was honestly a gift that my sister got, which was a cool little telescope. We've never gotten like a present that cool, and we looked at the moon last night, even though it was kind of cloudy, and it was epic. It was also freezing cold, so that wasn't fun, but I hope you all had a great holiday if you celebrate.
Amazing. Okay. Hopefully that came across all right. But thank you, Hannah. I think the gift that you got with like a telescope, that's super cool. Especially since there's like the what was it, conjunction or confluence or whatever of like Saturn and Jupiter just recently. There's a lot of cool stuff that goes on in winter with regards to the like astronomy and things like that. So seeing new constellations as they come into view this year or this part of the year, or being able to see planets or whatever stars from a little bit, or the moon or whatever from your own backyard. You can also do really cool stuff with astrophotography if you've ever seen that. So like the cool lapses of the sky just kind of rotating and seeing the stars just kind of go past. If you're in a darker area, that's a lot easier. Not in the city of Chicago because there's too many lights. But you know, wherever you may be.
Pollution.
Right. um,
That was such an awesome message. Wow. I think one of the things I really appreciate too about being sober during the holidays is being able to give and receive really thoughtful gifts from the people that I love, because I no longer just cop out and buy a bottle of wine or a
mm,
bottle of alcohol, which I would always used to do because that's super easy to do. And now when I think about my friends and family, I have to think about what their interests are and what they like and what would be really unique and special. And this year, too, with it being 2020 and being able to support small businesses. So, doing fun research on where I want my money to go instead of just spending it on big alcohol, you know? So, just it brings you a lot closer to the people that you love when you can be super thoughtful like that. And that is just another gift that sobriety gives me personally during the holiday season.
sure. I think one last thing that we might want to talk about is just how we're taking a very like US or Western European approach to Christmas because, you know, we're like the New Year's and that kind of thing because that's where we live, that's where we're grown up. But I definitely want to shout out to people who are not in the US. I think recently we just heard that some people are in Germany that are actually listening to this. So hello, everybody in Germany. But if you're celebrating Christmas abroad, like whatever that might look like, or even if you do it all, that might just look a little bit different. Like I remember in years past, like I've been in India or in China, for example, during Christmas, and it's just literally another day. You just get up and it's like 60, 70 degrees outside, and you're walking outside and you're like, all right, cool. Like I'm gonna wear a t-shirt and shorts and just go walking around, and it's the 25th of December. And so nothing really changes, but still, for those who do celebrate it, like I do wish you the happiest of holidays, whether that be Christmas or Hanukkah or any other holidays that you might celebrate during the November and December timeframe. Um, may it be very nice for you.
Yes, agree with that more. And thank you all to everyone from the Queer Sober Social community that came out last night. We had Queersmas on Zoom. As much as I would love for it to have been in person and have us share our ugly Christmas sweaters together, Zoom definitely took second place to that. So it was really great to have a community of friends where I can just be myself and not have to necessarily set the boundaries and have it be so difficult. Like we talked about earlier in this episode, just having good friends and community that you can go to as, you know, kind of a safe haven after the holidays. And you've seen the people that you have had a harder time with. So thank you again to this community. We are forever grateful for you, and hope that everyone in the Queer Sober Social community is going to have a wonderful holiday season as well.
Thank you again and again, and thank you also, dear listener and or watcher, for this podcast because I think that that about wraps up today's episode. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one as it comes out because we try to launch an episode every other week.
Yes, and you can find our podcast on all major platforms, and the video podcast lives on twitch.tv and YouTube. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Chicago Queer Sober Social and contact us at queersobersocial@gmail.com or leave us a beautiful voice message on Anchor and with any questions or stories that you'd like to share with us anonymously, and we will definitely put you right into our podcast as you've seen. Thank you so, so much for listening to the Queer Sober Social podcast. And always remember,
You are queer enough.
you are sober enough.
You are enough. Well, hold on, wait right there, because we're going to be right back with the after show, which is definitely part of the podcast. No, not part of the podcast, but still part of this live stream. So give us about like a minute or two, and we'll be right back. Thanks, everybody. See you in a couple minutes.
Move. Bye.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back.
Bye.
Well, for those who
Hello.
are
Welcome.
new to this and newly joining us, first of all, you can definitely make sure that you are subscribed to our Twitch channel or YouTube channel. The stuff that you're hearing right now is exclusive to Twitch and YouTube. Like, it is not part of the podcast, and you guys get to just decide what actually happens here a little bit. You will see that we have a chat over on this side. There we go. If you haven't already been chatting with us, you can feel free to jump on in, and we'll definitely make sure to respond.
Do it. Do it. So, welcome, welcome, welcome to the Queer Sober Social Podcast After Show. This is where we're going to talk about all things related to what we just talked about. So, we just talked about the holidays and being sober and queer during them. But I would love to know, Rajiv, what are some of your most favorite holiday movies that you enjoy to watch
I
during this time
was
of the year?
just thinking about that like the past few days. I'm trying to think of something that I watch on a regular basis. And I'm like, no, we just try to find something new every year. Like it could be old in the sense of just like it's an old movie. I don't think we've ever really had, or at least in my family, we've ever had a tradition per se where we're watching the same thing every year. Like during Thanksgiving, we were watching a Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, and I think we were trying to find something for this year, but we'd already watched like a Charlie Brown Christmas or that kind of thing, or whatever they call the actual movie. Sorry, really bad with titles. What about you?
Let's see. This year, I watched White Christmas for the first time
Bing Crosby?
per recommendation of a member of our group. Yes, Bing
Mhm.
Crosby. Very good dancer, by the way. It's very cute. It's also very long and older movie. It's very good. It's on Netflix. When I was a kid, every year we would watch Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sinbad. I don't know why. It was just like that movie that was always on TV during the holidays, and we would always watch it. So that's kind of tradition. I feel like Home Alone is also tradition. That was also like the movie that I would always watch like when you're homesick from school. So it's like has holiday and like just chilling at home vibes. I also like Elf. I haven't watched Elf this year. I just watched It's a Wonderful Life when I was home with the family. So that's a classic for sure. Classic holiday movie.
I think I'm more of
Right.
like a holiday music type of person that'll listen to like the same holiday songs every year.
Okay. What
Um,
holiday songs do you like?
I mean, like it is going to be like White Christmas by Bing Crosby or like stuff by
Yes.
Ella Fitzgerald. So I'm much more of like a jazz fan. So there's a lot more jazzy type of 60s, 70s types of Christmas songs that might be in there, and that definitely is on loop basically for all of December.
Jazz Christmas. That sounds good. So, is there any Mariah Carey on there at all?
Uh,
No,
no, not
doesn't make
exactly.
your playlist.
It
All
does
right.
not make my
Don't worry.
playlist,
I'll
unfortunately.
take all the pop princess Christmas music songs
I
for
mean,
you.
go for it.
Got the Ariana. Yes. That's also something I was watching this year, the Ariana documentary slash concert that was on Netflix as well. So very timely for the holidays. Not technically holiday related, but I very much enjoyed myself watching that. So that was so good. Good fun thing.
I mean,
I
besides
think
like,
we watched
oh yeah, yeah,
Happiest Season
oh,
came
right,
out last month, right before Thanksgiving, and that was a nice queer story for the holidays. And then also I watched The Prom on Netflix, which is a musical and has a queer storyline as well. So that was really cute. Feel good movie.
yeah, great. Yet another social on Twitch says I made my mom listen to the Goodman's radio version of A Christmas Carol on WBEZ, even though she had watched two versions of the movie earlier in the week. Radio adaptation was amazing.
Ooh,
There you go.
love that. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, like radio stories are definitely not a thing right now. So the fact that you found something and were able to find like an interesting version of it, like that's cool. That's super cool. I guess in a way it is kind of the podcast of olden times.
Yes, we have to be grateful for our elders who put those together. They walked so that we could run.
Ouch. Let's not like put Alex on blast there.
No, I meant the people doing the radios.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about lady reading and listening to
No,
them.
no, no. I would never elder shame. We need the elders to guide the way, clearly. No.
We have another chat from YouTube that says Carol of the Bells is a Christmas song that's amazing for soprano singers, but altos just get to sing ding ding over and over, ding dong over and over again. Uh, I
Yes.
don't actually know what range I'm in, so I wouldn't actually know like if I'm a soprano, alto, tenor. I truly don't remember or know. Uh, but I will have to take your word for it because there are definitely instances where certain vocal ranges just get the super boring parts. I hear you.
I'd love to hear you give us a nice ding dong version right now, though, so we can decide what range you are. Just kidding, just kidding.
Alex says, I know you would never elder shame me, Carly, and I'm proud to be one of the elder statesmen of QSS. Which, of course. Thank you, Alex.
Yes, staple. Love you, Alex. Thanks for being here. All right, so we got some Christmas movies, we got some Christmas music or holiday music, holiday movies. What about winter activities? What kind of like winter adventures do you like to go on, Rajiv?
I mean, I went skiing for, I think, the first time, like proper skiing for the first time. Okay, I should clarify. Proper skiing for the
Fine.
Midwest, not like Colorado or like mountains. But not a bunny hill is basically what I'm trying to say. For the first
Got it.
time, I think last year last year or the year before, basically. And I really liked it. Like, it was a lot of fun. I was picking it up really quickly, so I feel like I just need to get into it a little bit more, and I feel like I would be a lot better. I was definitely feeling comfortable enough to go down the early level green. I think it's the right color, not the
Yeah.
next level of the blues or whatever. Um, but maybe sometime when things like that are open and easily traveled to, I'll probably do that again.
Yeah, I mean, especially since we've barely had any snow this winter, at least in Chicago, it's kind
Mm.
of feeling a little bit weird, but I do like skiing too. But my most recent ski trip was earlier this year, back in January. I was in Colorado and went down a real mountain, not just like the practice hills like we got here in up in Wisconsin. Because I was skiing like a champ in Wisconsin, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna take these skills to some real mountains, and you're like, oh, what I was skiing down in Wisconsin was the bunny hill for
Yeah,
Colorado.
that makes me
I
feel
learned.
really great there, Carly.
I'm
My-
just trying to warn you because I was in the same I was feeling good too, Rajiv, once until I got to like went to the big boy leagues in Colorado. Big person leagues, I don't know.
the
Major
mountain
leagues,
leagues, yeah.
major leagues. Yeah, so there was greens and blues like I've never seen before, and those are like the beginner trails, but like seemed like expert trails for some reason.
Ugh,
Yeah.
that definitely seems scary.
It is. So I'm just trying to warn you because I was not scared until I got there, and then when you're on the hill and the only place to go is down, you gotta figure it out.
Where else are you gonna go up? Like,
No, but I was like, you know those like little orange sacks that they put people in and like ski them
oh,
down the hill? I was like,
oh
that
my
seems
God.
really nice right about now. Put me in one of those sleeping bags.
Oh man, I was in one of those like cool places that had like a path that diverged and you could like ski into your hotel or like some sort of like place like that. And
What?
this was in Michigan, and it was one of those like fancier places. But I mean, obviously, I wasn't staying at any of that. Like, I was staying in the place where you had to go walk like half a mile, go back to your lodge. So like the normal people kind of route. But apparently, there was some route that you could go into some lodge that's just sitting on the side of the mountain, basically, and then and then you could just kind of ski right in, which I thought was super cool. So in addition to just like
Fancy.
coming down out in an orange bag, basically, you could also just go straight in, straight home, get some hot cocoa, sit by the fire, like get right into lodge activities, which I think is definitely the great after activity after skiing for all day.
Hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate, fire, just chilling out with everybody, sitting inside, not going outside.
Yeah, I mean, skiing is intense. It uses muscles that you don't even know that you have. It's just you and the skis. You gotta figure it out. Yeah, well, my favorite part, honestly, of the Colorado trip that I was on earlier this year before COVID was going to the hot springs, which is like the natural water that's super hot, and they build these like pools and like hot tubs from the water, but then at the same time there was like also you could go directly, well, I don't think this was technically part of it because you like went off the grounds, but you went like in directly into the river, you went directly to the source, and we're like laying and you could see all the stars, which was new for me from being from Chicago. You don't get to see stars often like we talked about in the podcast, and just like doing the spa aspect of the ski weekend very much appealed to me. The after skiing relaxation and massages and all that good stuff, laying in a hot pool for hours and hours.
That sounds amazing. It also reminds me of like onsens in Japan, like where you can go
Ooh.
in the winter to those hot springs and then you just stay in these like fancy ryokens or whatever they're called. And they like have super fancy meals that they can bring to you, and you can go out and just like live in those pools for a little bit. Like, or some of them, I think the super fancy ones have like water piped directly into your hotel room or something like that. So you have like your own
Yeah.
tub or something, private tub. That all sounds super amazing. I would be a million percent down for doing something like that. When travel opens back up, definitely going to Japan in winter and like, hitting up stuff like that. But in the meantime, while travel opens up in the US, maybe going to Colorado and doing that same sort of thing.
Yeah, Colorado is awesome. I definitely want to go back.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Shout out to anyone that's listening from Colorado. Yeah, super, super fun. I wonder if any of our listeners have done any cool winter venturing.
So
Tell
actually,
us.
we do have a chat from Lee who says fencing is a winter sport. I did not know that. I used to fence in high school and have fond memories of losing every match I completed in because I was scared of hurting them with my large weapon. That's not a euphemism, I think.
So wholesome though.
It is very wholesome. Well, thank you for being kind and, caring about your opponents in fencing. Even though, it came from like practice sword fighting. But a gentle soul, Lee. A gentle soul. Thank you for having, winter Christmas spirit or whatever during your fencing matches.
Yes. Let's talk holiday traditions. So I know you like to listen to your jazz playlist, but what else do you like to do that you do every year, whether it's with family or friends? How do you know it's the holiday season in the Rajiv household?
It is definitely my sister's birthday is Christmas Eve, so it is like a requirement for me to be at home. I mean, not really a requirement, but I like to be at home during that time because
Sure.
it's a nice excuse to be at home and a nice time to like just naturally figure out a way to get home wherever you might be. And so whether that's a call if I'm not home or if that's just me going home, like that to me feels really like part of the season. Normally I would say snow, but this year is like throwing me way off because I looked at like
Where is
no,
snow?
exactly, where is it? I looked at like one of my 7 years ago you took a picture and whatever type of thing, like a callback from one of the photo things that I use. I think it was Google Photos, and it was saying like 7 years ago you were in like 7 to 8 inches of snow and you were outside like seeing the Christmas lights and stuff like that, and I was like literally, there's been zero coverage here in Chicago for this year. So snow, going home, kind of seeing all the changes happening within the city itself. Because like the Christmas decorations go up, and that's nice. For some reason or another, I've always ended up in New York in December in some way, shape, or form for the past few years. And so, like seeing the Rockefeller Center and seeing the actual tree get up over there. My work offices are around there, so it's actually really nice to be able to just kind of see that and then get out of there because Times Square is terrible for any New Yorkers. And I have no idea how people go to work every single day during December when you have like every tourist there. But anyway, I mean, like stuff like that kind of tends to just crop up. Those are the sorts of things that we do, whether that's just me or if it's my family or other people. We don't really have any pure traditions per se. Like it's not like we set up a tree or like we explicitly give gifts or anything like that, especially nowadays. Um, we just kind of like come together and hang out, and it's just an excuse to do so.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like my family is kind of the same way where we don't do a treat either. We just gather because it's the day that usually everybody has off of work and it's just easier to hang out on Christmas since everyone's like de-stressed and all that good stuff. I as a kid or, like, growing up in high school, we would always go to the mall for Black Friday and just, like, stay out, like, that was our, like, fun thing that we would do and, like, go till, like, the wee hours in the morning to the mall with everybody, and I wouldn't even buy anything good, like, I don't know, there was one year I was, like, straight up eating, like, Count Chocula, like, in line, like, we are just being silly, degenerate children. I did buy all the Harry Potters on box set, I think I told you that. It's my best purchase ever on Black Friday. So yeah, that kind of kicks it off. I'm very much in the camp of listening to holiday music as soon as Thanksgiving dinner has ended. So listening to the music is a huge part of it. Just feeling festive, drinking hot chocolate. I make it a point to go to the Chris Kindle market every
Oh,
year
that's
that
right. Yep.
happens in the loop. They always have like a commemorative mug. So I like to get the mug and you get the hot chocolate in the mug and got my whole yes, I have a whole collection of beautiful mugs that I love to drink my hot chocolate out of. So that's always really fun. There's good food there too as well. It's usually packed like sardines, which is so wild to think about. Like, when will the next time I'll be packed like a sardine anywhere near people again? But you know, it's all good. We go and look at the beautiful like ornaments that they have that you can buy, and there's like really cute ones. There's like Chicago themed ones, last year I bought like a Las Vegas themed one. It was really cute and like sparkly. And so just getting into the festive mode and trying to buy like a pie or good food. I always love like a good holiday dessert that I can bring to dinner. So that's usually my go-to. Like if you're eating good food or drinking good hot chocolate, then you know it's that time of the year.
Yeah, that's pretty true. Like I think if you look at food, my whole cooking routine and things that I eat or like try to figure out how to eat or whatever just change. Like much more root vegetables, like the whole wintry type of things, more soups, more stocks, like that kind of thing.
Mhm.
That for sure is definitely another sign of Christmas slash winter slash like the cold period of Chicago, because you definitely need to
Yes.
gear up for that. And having nice warm things or nice like cozy things to eat or drink or whatever, it just makes it that much easier to do so.
Yes, you're reminding me that we just learned about hygiene. I hope I'm pronouncing it correct. Or it's like the science of cozy things or just being cozy
Oh,
in the wintertime.
Hygge or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't actually know how it's pronounced. I've only seen it read.
Okay. Well, we'll find out soon, I'm sure, in the chat.
I'm sure somebody in chat will say
But yeah, it's like the art of curating coziness, which I'm all about that, especially now that we're just stuck at home all the time. You gotta make it cozy somehow.
Oh, absolutely. I
Feel good.
mean, I'm not gonna stand out, but I'm in like Christmas time pajamas. I've got like nice fleece lined in here. Like, you gotta be cozy right now.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. All right. Well,
Oh,
I think we got the Christmas. Oh, do we have a chat?
we have a couple.
Oh,
Lee
okay.
says, Huga. Okay, that sounds like Nordic to me.
Huga?
Yeah,
It's foreign for sure.
for sure. Wait, what is English? But basically, like stealing from every other language in some way, shape, or form.
In my mind, it's Haiji, which is probably definitely wrong because I usually just make up how things are pronounced in my head.
I was gonna say like Huga or something like that, which sounds pretty
Uh,
close to Huga. Um,
yeah.
And then Alex says, I finally got a four-season tent, quote unquote. It's actually just big enough to scooch your sleeping bag in and zip up right over your head. I can't wait to try it out. Dude, like, I mean, more power to you for camping when it's winter, but like, I can't do that because I don't care what R value of like your mats are or like how warm you think you are, but camping outside to me in winter seems. There's a reason that our whole species has decided to live indoors.
It's true. It's true. I'm also I can only sleep when it's like over 70 degrees. So I feel like I'm a high maintenance sleeper when it comes to that. So sleeping outside when it's 30, unless I got some kind of like fire in my tent, unless my tent is on fire. Just kidding. Or have like some kind of heater that's like, yeah, more into glamping, I might say. In this case, if it's gonna be freezing, I'm gonna need like some amenities going on so that it feels more like we're inside, which defeats the whole purpose of camping outside during the winter anyway. So that's me. Come at me. Who wants to go camping?
I mean, I'll go camping in the summer, like any day. That's cool.
Yes,
Like I'm good with
summer.
that. But winter, no way. Like I don't like running outside during winter. I don't like being outside in winter. I don't know. I mean, why am I in Chicago? Like,
I ask that a lot. I ask who were the first people that ever lived in like that were ever here in Chicago living through a winter and they were like, this is perfect. This is it. Put it down. Put the stake down. We're camping here. We're living here. I get it.
I mean, they probably came in summer and they're like, we're not moving again. We just unpacked. Like, it's good enough.
Like, oh no, is this gonna happen every year? We gotta figure something out.
Actually, I mean, like I'm 100% okay with winter in Chicago up until like Jan 2nd normally. Normally because there's snow, and then after that, the snow just gets like annoying.
Mm-hmm.
This year it might get extended out a couple of weeks or something like that. My tolerance for winter, but that gets you mostly like halfway through it, so I'm okay with that. Like, so then you just have to deal with it for a couple months.
Yeah, that's not so bad. Also, I think if I had a Facebook relationship status, it would say currently in a relationship with my electric blanket. So very intimate with that. That's how I know it's winter in Chicago. Break out the electric blanket. Best purchase I've ever made. It's so cozy. It's so warm. I don't have to worry about being cold, and I love it. So yeah, if they can make a like battery powered one, I would definitely bring that to the outdoor camping adventure with Alex.
I'm sure they've got to make one. Like somebody out there, or if not, like we're making a Queer Sober Social electrical blanket with batteries.
Yes, love that.
I mean, what else do you get up into? Like, what do you get into basically during winter? Like, are you a sledding kind of person or a snowball fight type of person or like walking outside or ice skating or anything like that?
I did go ice skating last year at Millennium Park. It
Hmm.
was very fun. Okay, so in my mind, it was Christy Yamaguchi. Like before I even stepped on the ice, like I'm ready to go to the Olympics in my mind. Okay. Then my body gets onto the ice and I'm like, what is happening? Why is the ice slippery? It's like I forgot how to move my body. So, it was a very humbling experience. Let me just say that.
I love that you said that. Why is the ice slippery? Like, just amazing,
Why
Carly.
are these knives on the bottom of my feet sliding around on this very slick ice? I don't get it. But yeah, it was that also involved using muscles that I had never used for a very long time. And I think I ice skated when I was a kid, and when you do it when you're older, your center of gravity is off the ground more, and it's just I'm wearing a puffy coat. I'm just like, oh my gosh, my legs were not moving at the same speed as they were in my head when I was doing like spins and all kinds of tricks.
Yeah,
But
I'm
there's some
I'm
people out there that are really they're like showing off, and I'm like, wow, takes talent and skill.
that's amazing. I mean, like for those who are able to do those spins or things like that, like respect because I'm just happy I can keep standing up and go around in a circle fast enough and slow down when I need to.
Hmm?
Spinning is not, or jumping, like forget that. Like I need definitely both my feet on the ground whenever I'm ice skating. I mean, and forget about it if you're with another person. Like, man, like you're trying to like match up speeds or try not to, pull them down to the ground or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a fun experience, and more of drinking hot chocolate happened after that. I like to do like indoor activities. I feel like I saw a lot of comedy shows in
hmm.
the winter time or like enjoying eating at good restaurants. Chicago has good stuff to offer all year round. And I think a lot of the theater kind of shows and stuff are produced as a way to not think about the winter or like we're indoors. So how do we come up with a fun way to like make do with the time that we have? So that was always good stuff going to see comedy and supporting theater arts and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like Second City, which is the improv comedy club that's here in Chicago. I mean, there's a couple others, but Second City is one of the more famous ones. They always have like a new show that comes out around Christmas anyway, or like in the winter time frame, and that's a really great way to do that. But I mean, 2020, so like asterisk, 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 like to say like when it's open again. But normally,
Yeah.
it's a fun time to go to something like that.
Right? I keep thinking about how all the fun things that we could have been doing this year with the queer sober social community, like a potluck or Secret Santa or an ugly sweater party. Like there's just so many different kind of festivities that go on usually in December that is just kind of feeling a little less festive when you're just doing it over Zoom or you're just at home by yourself. So hopefully, this podcast can bring you a little holiday cheer to your quarantine near you.
And you can see we have snow. We used to have lights in some other view or whatever that is. So we're trying to make it a little bit fun and make your Saturdays, every other Saturday, basically a little bit better, especially during these dark times. Literally because, it's dark
Yeah,
outside.
it's it's already dark.
Right. It's
I
five
did
o'clock.
break out my I got my Santa earrings.
Amazing.
Got my Christmas sweater. As kiss me under the mistletoe.
I didn't even read it. I just knew that you had like red and green on, and I was like, cool. All right, you're definitely much more festive than I am.
Well, I broke it out of the storage for this very time of year. So that's how you know too. I'm going and changing out through my winter clothes. Got my winter coat, got my boots,
Are you
gloves.
are you one of those people
Okay.
that like swaps their closet basically? from winter to summer, or do you just keep everything in there and you're like good?
Just everything's in there. I'm one of those people that has a closet full of clothes and nothing to wear. So I feel
Cool.
like yeah, that's my problem. Yeah, go with Christmas sweater today. So it's chosen for me.
Awesome.
But yeah, I've been rocking this for like it's my go-to. It probably like last like 6 holiday sweater parties.
Wow, amazing. I don't have enough sweaters. I mean, like holiday sweaters. I have regular sweaters, but I don't have any other types of sweaters. Uh,
Gotcha.
I'm one of those people that has like I have 5 basics that I can switch and match things into and make it work, and then like a couple of separate pieces and stuff like that that would be Christmassy or like
Expect
wintry theme.
nothing less from you. Nothing less than a very organized, logical way to wear clothing.
Part of it was due to necessity because like literally since 2015, I feel like I've moved every single year. And moving sucks, as I'm sure anybody who's ever moved knows. And so I was just like, all right, how do I slim down everything that I own in such a way that I could like pack things quickly, move things out quickly, or put it in storage quickly, or whatever. And so
Smart.
like 2015, like moved to China. 2016, moved back. Like was going to grad school, came back from grad school. Like, yeah, it's just not worth it to like have a lot. Which I mean, it's a lot of fun to have all that stuff because it's really cool to just be having like to have unique stuff to wear all the time. And especially if you're like on a podcast on video where it's recorded and you can't repeat outfits in some way.
The internet will always
Right.
know what you wore on this day.
Our hardcore fans will just catalog exactly what we wore on each day.
Love it. Please start doing that, fans.
Oh, Lee says
uh,
ice skating is kind of metal, though. Like think about it. You're wearing knives on your feet to speed past your opponents, knocking them over, and you win a small medal offering to the gods of sports. That is true. I mean, knocking people over, I think that's the case for hockey. If you're doing like figure skating or something like that,
roller derby?
yeah, maybe. But definitely, it is definitely metal. A little hardcore because you are, especially if you're like on a lake or something like that. That's super hardcore.
Ooh.
Like, cause like you are literally inches away from falling into freezing cold water, and you're on some knives basically the entire time, which is super cool. Um, Not something that I would do because I don't have that much of a tolerance for risk slash access to lakes, but more power to you.
This is like That's awesome. Well, I feel like I know a lot about how you like to get ready for the holiday season, but what about New Year's Eve? Is that anything different for you? Is it just another day? Do you like to get into it?
I think New Year's is like one of those places where you start transitioning from like I spent Christmas or like Thanksgiving or whatever with my family. New Year's is with my friends, or like New Year's is with like a group of people that I want to be around or something like that. Not saying that you don't want to be around your family, but like sometimes you need to
Yeah.
find like another activity or another event to like go to hang out with everybody that you know. And so for me, that's definitely the case for New Year's is like trying to just hang out with people just in a friend group. So in previous years, it's been just all of us hanging out together. Um, Playing music or just chatting or something like that, and then we'll kind of watch the countdown, whatever that might be, or just have our own countdown like at the end of the night, just if we get there. Like really, really chill, kind of laid back, kind of New Year's. That's definitely in years past. I have also done like a warehouse party one New Year's, where like I think in Chicago that somebody, I think Dead Mouse was playing a couple years ago or something like that, and so just going out to like a party like that
Ooh.
and just being out there with everybody. Um, I have never done anything like Times Square or anything like that. I don't like to be outside for New Year's. I'd rather just be indoors because, again, I'm not a huge fan of the cold. So New Year's for me is more indoors, chiller, except for years where I want to go do something and go out, and then generally with friends. What about you, Carly? Like, are you kind of the same way, or do you do something completely different?
No, I like everything that you said. I think the only caveat to the only way I would be outdoors would be if it was warm. I feel like if I was in a warm place, then that'd be fine. I would be outside then. Yeah, I don't know. New Year's, like, I usually like to go big or go home. Like you said, like that warehouse party sounds really fun. Last year, I went to a concert at the House of Blues. I saw Motion City soundtrack and lived my most nostalgic life. So that was really fun. Um, yeah, I mean, I find it hard too, like bridging the gap where if I want to hang out with some friends that might be drinking, it's like a little bit hard for me figuring out where I want to go or like who I'm going to be with. So if I want to like go out and have that big like party vibe, it's hard for it not to be surrounded by people that
That's true.
are drinking and are drinking a lot, or I had to pay for a ticket that includes drinks when I won't actually be drinking since it's like all you can drink or whatever. So, yeah, there's definitely not a lot of sober-minded activities that go on in the city, and I definitely want to be part of changing that
I
narrative.
have definitely been victim to the sober tax, basically, where you're,
Yep.
subsidizing everybody else's drinks because you're not drinking. Yeah, I feel you 1,000,000% on that one because yeah, it's really tough. Like whether you're traveling also, like a lot of places, there's some all-inclusive hotels which are really just meant to make you drink more, but like you just get a regular one and then like go get your food for like I don't know $10 or something like that instead, and save yourself a ton of money because it's not really that much fun to be around people who are drinking all the time like that. I agree. I think that's one of the reasons why like the events that I choose to go to or the places that I tend to go to are a lot more like lower key, and people don't tend to be drinking at those, which I think has been really helpful because I mean, like we were saying earlier, there's a lot of pressure to drink at New Year's, and I definitely recognize that. But I've somehow or other found a bunch of people that don't drink in the first place, or are like totally okay with not drinking on New Year's specifically, and so I just kind of hang out with them, and it works out. It's really nice because it's a nice way to ring in the new year when you're just like you know what you've done, and like the night that you spent is just with people that you cared about, with doing things that you wanted to do, doing the things that you wanted to do, and just kind of bringing in the next year just the correct way.
Totally. Yeah, no, I love that. That's awesome. I couldn't agree with you more, honestly, because just it's not fun. It's not like being authentic to yourself. So I really wanted to create a space where we could bring the queer sober social community together and host my own thing. Well, it has to be on Zoom this year, but
Hmm.
we are doing it. And if you are listening to this and you want to come, please come and join us. And it'll just be fun and games and relaxed and chill. And I don't even know. We can decide if we want to stay up till midnight or not. Like you said, do our own countdown whenever we feel like it. Because, like, who cares anyway?
Midnight somewhere is
No
fine.
pressure. Exactly. Exactly. Like, who even knows if there's going to be fireworks this like so bizarre. We just need to celebrate getting through this year. So, you know, I feel like I also get really reflective towards the end of the year. I start thinking about because think like it's easy to have like clear memories of like where you were this time last year, like what you were doing or who you were seeing or who you were hanging out with. And so I just have been thinking a lot about that and
Hmm.
reflecting and like journaling or writing. And just thinking about, like how far I've come and all that good stuff. So that's always fun to do too.
I think that's an important thing because like it's a natural time where everybody comes up with their top 10 of 2020 type lists at the end of the year. I mean, why not come up with your own basically in some way, shape, or form, whether that be
Yeah.
in terms of your own personal growth or where you're going, or where you've been, where you think you're going for next year, like all that sort of stuff. That makes a lot of sense. Actually, that reminds me, we did have somebody. Sorry, we are going to be doing an episode in a couple of weeks on New Year's. So like New Year's resolutions
Yes.
and things like that. So you definitely don't want to miss that. That's going to be right after New Year's in a couple of weeks. Uh, and we also, right after that, have another episode that we would love to share a preview of. We had somebody send in a voice message that we want to share with you guys, just like we had earlier on in the actual podcast episode. This is more like a sneak peek for you guys that are actually watching this kind of seeing where some of these ideas come up and how and what direction we might want to take something like that. So with the New Year's resolutions, I think that that's a pretty like straightforward, quote unquote, kind of way to to think about it because it's going to be resolutions for us next year. But then this, I think, is kind of interesting, and I'm buying myself time so I can actually find the file and click play.
No
Because
worries. Yeah. So, like Rajiv said, we're going to be talking all things New Year's. So if that's interesting to you, if you like what we were just talking about or want to add a New Year's story or what you like to do for New Year's, definitely reach out to us. Drop us a voice message, drop us an email so we can feature you on the next podcast. And then the podcast after that, Rajiv is going to give you a little sneak peek of, hopefully very soon in this moment.
all
But
right,
we love when you all call in and leave us messages. So please keep doing it. Please let us know what you want us to talk about, what is interesting to you, how you want to be featured, and who you want to hear. So we're all ears to all that. There you
100%.
go.
All righty. Well, here's our voice message that we received.
Hi, this is Katie. I am actually part of the Queer Sober Social group, but I have a class on Wednesday, so I can't come to our little meetings. And I was listening to the introduction that y'all were talking about, what you want to talk about, and I just wanted to toss a suggestion into the hat of dating while sober because I am currently trying to navigate dating while sober for the first time. I mean, I've had like hookups and stuff like that, but nothing like substantial. And this thing I'm in feels like it's more substantial than just a hookup, and I just don't know how to navigate it sober. So I would really appreciate that. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Katie, for sharing that. This is a really, really unique topic to queer sober social in a lot of ways because um, straight people don't have to worry about some of the problems that you deal with dating while you're queer. And people who drink, which is the majority of people, don't have to worry about a lot of things you have to worry about when you are not drinking. And then you mash them all together and you get a whole host of new problems and issues and things to solve for. So dating while queer and dating while sober are 100% topics that we want to talk about. And after we talk about New Year's, making sure that we're kicking off the year right, get everybody back into the game for 2021. Perhaps one of your New Year's resolutions is going to be looking at dating while sober this next year, and we'll definitely have a chance to talk about it. Also, Harley, I think you also have some more to talk about on this topic as well, correct?
I do. I am super grateful to be moderating a very important conversation around the same exact topic. And I will be moderating a talk at Sober Voices, which is a virtual summit that will be happening in February 2nd through 4th. And my talk is how to date and find sex when you are sober and in the queer community. So basically, the same conversation, but with different perspectives. So it's going to be super exciting. I'm really loving that this is coming up. I think it's great. I think it's relevant and much needed in most of the people who I know that are sober and queer. They ask these questions. They want to know about this because sober and queers want to find love too, and we deserve love. And we have so much love to give. So it's just kind of what Rajiv was saying, like finding the magic formula of how do we put sober plus queer plus awesomeness, like plus like, you know, dating apps equals love question mark. Like
Plus
how do
COVID
we
this year, like question mark,
yeah,
question mark.
exactly. How do we put together the magical mathematic formula to find sober and queer love? That is what we'll be talking about in the near future. We would love to hear from you. We would love if you called in and left us a message that we could play. So it's basically like you're here, but you're not really here, and we can hear from you. So it'd be super cool. I think that once you get sober, once you figure out that you're queer, then it's like, oh, I figured out that I'm an awesome person and want to put myself out there in the world. How do I find other awesome people that want to date me? And that is just like the big question mark because then you go on the dating apps and you are just full of surprises that you find on there. Full of surprises at you that are not conducive to a sober and queer relationship.
This is giving me like PTSD, like flashbacks basically of bad stuff that's happened in the past. Ugh, definitely. So we'll definitely talk about it. And I think one thing that's really important for us is if you guys could send us your stories, because I think that that would be a really nice way for us to hear just what it is that you all have faced in navigating this airy world of queer and sober dating, basically.
Or even any advice too. I think advice would be amazing, or tips or things that have just genuinely helped, because we are trying to get that message out to the world to have give hope to other sober queers that they are not alone, that we may have some answers to their dating woes and we would love to include your take on all that.
For sure. Well, okay, that's enough previewing for you guys. I think you guys got this is the first time we're doing like sneak peeks, so mostly because we want to get your guys' opinion and get your stories included into these episodes as well. So if you have a chance, it doesn't matter what microphone you have. Like literally, you could just click record, and you're probably good with your built-in mic. I'm pretty sure that that's been the case for the other two voice messages that you heard today, and we will be able to play them. You can leave your name or you could leave it anonymous. That's okay, either way. And we'd be happy to share your stories. And you can definitely take a look at that on our
Yes,
Anchor
do
page
it.
for leaving the voice message. Or you could just even record something separately and send it us to email. Like, it doesn't matter. Just get us your voice. We'll figure out a way to put it in.
Amazing. Yes, please do. It's so fun. And like Rajiv and I are not the only people, like we're not the authority on sober and queer dating. We are just two people that want to talk about it. Obviously, other people want to talk about it, and we want your feedback. We want your input. We want you to be part of the conversation. So please, 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 please join us.
100%. All right, cool.
Amazing.
Let's move into maybe like the last thing that we might want to do.
Yes. Okay. We're going to do like a lightning round. Back to the holiday stuff, since that's enough to talk about sober dating and the mystery of that. And let's play a holiday version of thumbs up or thumbs down. So I'm going to, yes,
And if you're in chat, by the way, you can also play.
yes, this is
It will
also
be
for you
delayed,
in chat.
but it's fine. Like you can say yes or no to the specific thing. Just make sure you mention what you're saying yes or no to, because I think there's like a 10-second lag between what we say and then what you hear. So by the time you respond, we may have moved on to the next thing.
Okay, maybe instead of a lightning round, it'll be like a lightning and thunder round, because the thunder will come after when your chats come through.
Excellent. I love it.
Okay, so okay, so typically, well, there's a few ways that we could do this, but I'm thinking typically you just I'm gonna say the thing and you tell me, you could do a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Just no explanation of why you feel that way. And if we were playing the official way, what we would do is that I would say like the whole list of like 10 things or whatever, and then I would guess what you would say, and you would guess what I would say, and then we would go through and tell each other what we each think. But this is a little too complicated for that. But that is a fun game to play in real life. But we're just gonna do the abbreviated version.
I mean,
So I'm
I
gonna say a thing.
was like, we could maybe do it for one or two of them, and then just kind of like go through the rest of them, like, because I think I have
No,
a
I
couple
think this will
guesses.
be. We could set it up. Okay, all right. Well, we could set it up for next time, but I think
Sure.
just we'll just do sharing for now.
Cool.
Okay. So holiday item number 1 is thumbs up or thumbs down for eggnog. Two
Look,
thumbs down.
two
Two thumbs
thumbs
down
down.
for eggnog. Tell us what you think about eggnog in the in the comments. Okay. Thumbs up or thumbs down for Christmas lights.
Environmentally friendly, preferably, but you know.
Yes. It's a good point. Good point. All right. Thumbs up or thumbs down for snowball fights. We're about to have a snowball fight after this, aren't we?
Well, there's no snow.
There's no snow. We're gonna have an airball fight. And I really want one of those scooper things. Have you seen those things where you like scoop up the snow and it makes it into a heart?
No.
They have like snowball shape makers that you can like it makes snowballs into certain shapes. I've also seen one that looks like a duck.
That interesting,
That could
really
be a good
interesting.
holiday gift.
Also, snowball fights are socially distanced activities, so you can definitely find your way to stand 6 feet apart and just throw frozen water at each other. That's safe.
Love that. That's super safe. All right. Next, thumbs up or thumbs down. How do you feel about ugly Christmas sweaters or holiday sweaters?
I don't really care for
Okay, well, that's why we're playing this game. I'm learning about you. How do you feel about hot chocolate?
Uh, I I was in Belgium, I think, like a year or two ago, and they
Ooh,
just do like
yeah.
straight up chocolate and then straight up hot milk, and that's it. Like that is very, very, very decadent hot chocolate, but so good. Like an amazing Christmas type of thing, or like winter type of thing. Really, honestly, you could drink it any time of the year.
Belgium's supposed to have that really good, like rich chocolate.
It's very rich.
Mm.
It's like a full meal in and of itself.
Yes, that makes sense to me. All right. Thumbs up or thumbs down? Hallmark holiday movies.
Really?
They're so cheesy, but they're
That's
so
why I don't
good.
like them.
They make you feel things.
No, they make me feel like revulsion and pity for the people who had to write them.
I don't know. They're feel good. They have like the same cast, but somehow keep coming up with different plot lines. Like I applaud them for being creative.
I mean,
I
sure.
would love to see a queer storyline in a Hallmark movie. Just once, please, just once.
I really feel like, gosh, what was it called? Like the Happiest Season or something was kind of like a more sophisticated version and a queer version of a Hallmark movie.
Okay, well, thumbs up or thumbs down for Happy Season.
Sure. I mean, like, yeah, it was great,
Okay. All right. All right.
but it also wasn't the same
I'm
actors
sure it
like
was.
recycling the same story. Like,
No, it was good. It had a really stacked cast. Okay, let's do the last few here. And then you can read the comments
yeah,
when they're coming in, hopefully. Thumbs up or thumbs down for candy canes.
medium.
Medium is not an answer.
If I had to choose, then no.
Woo! All right, well, they're minty and you get to suck them so that they become pointy and you can use it as a sword. Which Lee would probably not like because that's too close to fencing.
Convincing argument, Carly. Convincing argument.
Use my candy canes as a weapon. Or you can mix your hot chocolate with it and it melts away and makes it extra minty. Anything food related, I'm here for it. All right. Thumbs up or thumbs down for mistletoe.
Nah.
Ah! All right. Fine. Thumbs up or thumbs down for gingerbread houses.
Also thumbs down. Oh, okay.
Thumbs
Phew.
down.
I was like, oh man, Carly's just gonna
Yeah.
love everything holiday, and it's gonna be me looking like a Grinch or something.
Well, we could do the Grinch next. Are you a thumbs up or thumbs down for the Grinch?
The Dr. Seuss version, the movie, the first movie, or the second movie?
Whatever you want. How about the movie? All movies.
I like the animated one. I didn't really care for the live action one.
Okay, thumbs up or thumbs down for receiving presents.
Who doesn't like to receive presents?
The Grinch. Okay, that was a test.
Oh, okay, okay. Phew, I passed.
Y'all, Rajiv is not the Grinch. Confirmed. Confirmed.
I am wearing green. Oh no.
Ah!
It's like a teal, I
Okay,
guess.
last
Whatever.
but not least, Black Friday shopping. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Nah.
I'm going thumbs down. As an adult, it's a thumbs down. As a kid, thumbs up. You seem like more of a Cyber Monday kind of guy anyway.
Actually, I didn't buy a single thing Black Friday or Cyber Monday this year.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, I mean,
Shocking.
partially because I'm also, trying to find a new place to live, so I need some of that money. Also because it's COVID. And also because, like, anything that I wanted, like, nobody has right now. People who are interested in trying to, like, build a PC, like, computer parts, very, very hard to find right now. If you're like if you are interested in video games or anything like that, PS5s are very hard to find right now. I happen to get lucky and have one already,
It's
but
five
like,
boxes. You 5 boxes are all over town.
well,
Everyone's just
I'm
selling their
sure.
boxes. All right, let's hear from the chat. Do we
Alrighty,
have any
we have
bridges
the
in the
wonderful
chat?
Alex being able to let us know what they think. Eggnog, thumbs down. I I'm with you. Lights, thumbs up. Cool, we're agreed there. Noble fights somewhere in the middle. If you had to choose, though, Alex, get back to us as we move down. Um, ugly sweaters, not sure. That feels like a no to me. Because if you're not like a thumbs up, like yeah, that's definitely a no.
It's not a heck yeah, it's a heck no.
Yeah. Hot chocolate, thumbs up, of course. And then he says you can get that good thick hot chocolate at Kopi Cafe in Andersonville. So shout out to Kopi Cafe in Andersonville here in
What?
Chicago.
I will be checking that out after this.
Then he says Hallmark thumbs down. Thank you, thank you. I like totally get it.
Validated.
And then he says Lifetime's
Agreed.
first gay Christmas movie, The Christmas Setup, tonight at 6 p.m., which is just in half an hour if you're watching this live.
Ooh.
Candy canes definitely with the sword part.
Yeah. Candy cane sword fight.
Then he says mistletoe. No, the pressure of a yeah. Like I never really understood that. Like I don't get it.
Yeah, it can be awkward. It depends who you're underneath it with.
Yeah, I suppose so. Gingerbread houses. No. Gingerbread men / women / non-binary cookies. Thumbs up. Actually, that's fair. Like, cause gingerbread houses, they'll fall apart on you real quick.
Yeah, it's a lot of labor. It's like putting together a real house.
A
It's
little
like
less labor than that,
construction.
but you know. And then he says Black Friday shopping, thumbs down. Yeah, I'm with you. Especially since everything's moving online anyway, and the sales aren't really that helpful. And also, like the way
They're
that people are
not.
treating like retail workers is getting worse. And I'm like, yeah, nah, I'll find other ways to buy stuff.
Yeah. Also, they say that like some of the TVs that they make for Black Friday are all made from like stock, like
Yeah,
not they just put together a bunch of random like cheap parts to make you a cheap TV, and it's like I don't want a cheap TV that's gonna fall apart with random parts. I want a regular TV if it's basically gonna cost the same anyway because the deals are not that great.
not as of late. And
No.
then Alex comes back to us after our delay in the internet. Says snowball fights. You always have to take off your gloves and then your hands freeze. Nah, man, you just got to find better gloves. Compact the snow properly, and then you can throw it with gloves on. And then gingerbread houses, stale ass cookies. I mean, yeah. I mean, they're not. You don't eat a gingerbread house unless you eat it like immediately after making it, which is I don't know, very Buddhist of you, I guess. Like with mandalas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you just
Yeah.
keep them for decoration.
Yeah, you have your stale house cookies, and then you make your fresh batch of gingerbread cookies so that you can eat those as you make your house.
For sure. Alrighty. Well, we're near the end of this episode, are we not?
Yes. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being here. This has been so fun and amazing. I love learning about the members of our community. I love learning about you, Rajiv.
And
I love
same.
doing this and making the queer content that we all know and love and really need in the world. So, hey.
Absolutely. Thank you all very, very much for joining. Please share it with all your friends and enemies. I don't care who. We need like any good news. Any news is good news, basically. So really appreciate you all tuning in, especially for those who have stuck it out until the end. Thank you again, and we will see you in a couple of weeks. Happy New Year, since we won't see you before then, at least through this. We'll see you guys in the chat right now before then. But thanks again very much. As our bot just said, thanks for checking out our stream. If you want to take a look at the podcast, you can definitely take a look on the podcast platforms, whatever you like. We're pretty much on all of them. And if you just search Queer Sober Social, you'll probably find us. We're a pretty recognizable name by now. What? Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we are. That's right. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of the Queer Sober Social podcast community. We're so happy to have you, and we'll see you in 2021.
Bye, everybody.